Well, we are so honored to be here. Wow, what a great group. And as Tim talked about, we just so thankful that you came out, that you're prioritizing your marriage and you're doing things to keep your marriage strong. We love that. Erin and I do that as well. We take time, we go to events. Because always when we start off, there's always guys sitting there just kind of wondering, like, what is really going to happen over the next 2 days? Like, what are they going to make?
Somehow they got coerced here, is what you're implying.
Yeah, like, what are they going to make us do? Are we going to do weird stuff? No, we just want you to relax. We are not going to do to you what happened to us the last marriage event that we attended. So as we were seated in the audience, the speaker came up. So he comes right up on the stage. First thing out of his mouth, he goes, "Now I want all the guys to stand up." So, of course, we're all going, "For real?" So we stand up, and he goes, "Now I want you to turn and look at your wife." We're like, "For real?" So we're, looking at her. And then he says, "Now I want you to share one secret you've never told her about." And I'm waiting for the, just kidding ya. Yeah, that never came. So...
Well, and I never heard your answer,
Right.
So I'm still waiting for the answer.
Yeah, it involves the stinky sock. But anyway, so we will not be doing that. So seriously, we want you guys to relax. Our hope is that first and foremost, we do a whole lot of laughing together. And that there are some things that you will hear that are simple, practical, that you're going to be able to put right into your marriage relationship that will strengthen it. So that's really our hope. So to kind of start off, we do want to introduce you to our family. As Tim said, we do have 4 children. And so here is a picture. Is there? Yes, there they are. So
this
is
make
our
me happy.
This is our family.
Yes. So Greg and I have been married almost 28 years. We're edging into 27 and a half, so we always round up. So almost 28 years. We've lived in Colorado Springs for about almost 9 years.
Yeah.
We have 4 delightful children, and our oldest daughter is on this side, and her name is Taylor. She's 25. She's been married for almost 3 years to the nice young man standing next to her, Caleb. Taylor's a cardiac ICU nurse at the Children's Hospital in Denver, and her husband, Caleb, is I always forget, it's aerospace engineer. So he's a rocket scientist. So we can't say, it's not rocket science, because it really is. Half the time I don't understand what he's telling me.
Me neither, yeah. No.
Yeah.
We just nod a lot.
Yes,
yeah.
and smile.
Good. When do we get grandkids? That's all we really care about. So
for some reason that hasn't happened yet. We're ready. Our second daughter is Murphy. She is 22, and she is actually a senior in nursing school. And I'm originally a nurse, so there's going to be 3 nurses in our family. So I always tell Greg that we have got his physical care covered as he ages. But 3 nurses? I mean, holy cow. And then I have a master's in clinical psychology, so I can help with the emotional aging as well. So we have
Makes
you
me very safe and secure knowing all of this.
Yes, we have you taken care of. So Murphy's a senior in college. Garrison, our son, is a senior in high school. So senior in high school, senior in college, married. And then we have down in the front there, little Antoinette Rose. Her name is Annie. Came to us from China almost 9 years ago. And we're going to actually tell her story tomorrow afternoon, which is quite a delight. So we never dreamt this is what our family would look like. Oh, I have to introduce Sammy. People freak out if I don't introduce the dog. That is our grand dog, and that is Taylor and Caleb's dog. He's like 4 times the size of that right now. Very large, still thinks he's a lap dog. He literally will run into our house and jump up on Greg's lap and just sit there, and he's just huge. But we loved Sammy so much that we actually adopted a little golden doodle as well. So now we have Olive, who has become quite a family member. We don't have a current picture with her in it. We need to get one.
You're ashamed of her.
No, I Love her. I love her. We've never had a dog before, and we have fallen in love, for sure.
She is a good dog.
She is. So we are thrilled to be with you this weekend. As Greg said, we hope that you will laugh a lot with us, but we also hope to equip you with some really good, simple skills that you can take and apply to your relationship right away. Just some encouragement. I know so often people will say, oh, if I go to this marriage seminar, well, then it means that there's something going on in our marriage, there's something wrong. No. We just want to encourage you. We want to laugh. We want to come together and really just be intentional about strengthening our relationship. So we're thrilled that you're here, and we'll look forward to being with you tonight and tomorrow morning.
I always love it when Erin introduces our family. We speak separately, so when we do this together, it's fun to hear her introduce our family, because what she does takes me literally maybe 5 seconds, and I'm not sure I get all their names right.
I know that guy next to Taylor, Caleb,
got it. Yes. Yeah. So I love that. Yeah, this just shows the difference between us. Just looking at our family picture, it takes me back, speaking of Taylor and Caleb, to their wedding. I got to perform their wedding, so I was not just the father of the bride, but also performed the wedding, which was nerve-wracking because I was so convinced that I was going to break down, start crying, halfway through. And so I practiced and tried to get all the crying out of the way. And so I was doing pretty well during the actual ceremony until I got to the ring part. So I'm asking for the rings, and so both sides are kind of scrambling to get me the rings. And I just glance at our youngest daughter, Annie, who's a junior bridesmaid right there, and she's frantically trying to get my attention. So she's waving at me, and I'm looking at her like, now, what could possibly be this important? So I give that look like, what? And so she mouths the words, "I'm bored." What on earth? So I only tell you that just in case at any point in time you feel bored. Just kind of mouth the words. I'll know what that looks like. I'll move us along. So we're thrilled to be here as we work with couples, as we travel around, as we talk to couples. One of the things that we hear again and again and again goes something like this: that we love each other, we're committed to each other, but boy, do we feel disconnected. As a matter of fact, in many ways, we feel like married roommates. And for some of you, that might be the season that you're in, that you're feeling like married roommates. You love each other, you're committed, man, you're just not connecting. So the place that we want to begin is to kind of talk about that. Why is that going on? And kind of to describe some of what behind that, kind of two big general reasons. Mm-hmm.
Really what we found, I see private practice couples in a local practice near our home, and I hear it in my office as well. We're just so busy. I'm busy, we're busy, we just can't seem to find time to really connect. And specifically, what ends up happening is when we do connect, it's at this high level of just, hey, how was your day? Oh, it's fine, great. What, just little facts. Or we're talking about who's picking up who and who's going to the grocery store, who's paying the bills. So it becomes a business meeting. So we're busy, so we're disconnected because of that. But then when we do connect, we end up administrating our marriage. So it ends up being a business meeting when really there's deeper longings down in our heart to connect at a very deep level. And so often we aren't doing that. We're busy and we're administrating.
Yeah, and I know that this happens to us as well. It wasn't too long ago that I think something was going on. Usually I take the kids to school in the morning.
I was stuck in traffic or something coming back from Denver, and usually I pick Annie up. He drops her off. I pick her up, but I was running late. So I called you and I said, hey, I know it's last minute, but can you run up and grab Annie from school?
Yeah. And I had a little bit of time before I had to do this presentation. So I said, yeah, I think I can get her, bring her back to the office. Then we'll just meet there. We'll exchange. And so it was close to February, and we live at about 7,000 feet. So of course snowy and a little bit icy. And so I run out of my office, I get into the car, I forget my jackets, and so I'm just trying to hustle to get Annie. I get to the school, get Annie, get her in the car, but it all took way longer than I thought it would. So now I'm running late. So now I'm just trying to get out of the parking lot, which I don't know what school pickup is like for you guys, but man, that can be like, it's like dangerous. I mean, I get shamed like on social media at times for doing the wrong thing, and it's just weird. So I'm trying to get out of the parking lot, and so as I'm trying to go, Annie's saying something to me, and so I'm trying to answer her question, and I just briefly looked back at her, turned around, and the car in front of me had stopped. And so I just hit the brake. Well, it's snowy, icy. I just bang right into the back of this woman's van. Now, I didn't hit her very hard because maybe going like 5 miles an hour, but it hit her hard enough to where her bumper right on the ground. And so, yeah, do you have those days? You're just like, no, I don't have time for this. So I get out, and I don't have a jacket, and so a very nice woman, full of grace. You know, she's like, it's okay, let's exchange insurance information. So she said, hey, why don't you get your daughter? You guys can both sit in my warm van, and we can exchange information. So get Annie. We're sitting in the car. So I hand her my driver's license, and as she's starting to write down the information, this commercial is playing on the local Christian radio station. And so it's talking about this upcoming father-daughter dinner dance. And so as it's talking about this, the lady gets real excited. And she goes, girls, because her 2 daughters in the back. She's like, that's what you're going with Dad. And they're cheering. And she goes, I'm so excited. They've never done something like this. I'm so hopeful they're going to have a good time. I just don't know who's speaking. And I hope whoever it is, they're not boring. I'm not making any of this up. As the commercial continues to play, as she's writing my license information down, it says, and this year featuring special guest, Dr. Greg Smalley. And she looks at me, and I went, yeah, that's me. And she's going, oh, I'm so sorry. No, I didn't mean anything. I'm sure you're going to be great. And Annie from the back goes, nope, he's boring. I don't know what it is about her.
I know.
Do you have those moments to where you're rushed, you're feeling busy? I mean, so much of our conversation that day had been around who's going to pick up who and grab what from the store. Seemed like we were just in one of those seasons that most of our communication, right, revolved around just figuring out how to manage our life together. And I know the more that we do that, right, it just creates this disconnection.
Yeah, so it leads you to really feeling disconnected with each other. The busyness, the talking facts, and up at this level. And so we end up feeling disconnected. And, you know, it ends up leading to living these separate parallel lives. So we end up feeling like roommates. But then ultimately, it leads us to feeling loneliness and alone in our relationship. And that's one of the most brutal emotions we can feel, alone, because we were created to connect. We were created to connect with God and with each other. And I believe specifically in marriage, God created marriage. And so there's this deep longing within each of us to be connected. Therefore, when we feel alone in marriage, it's just this awful feeling. And that's what we really want to focus in on is how do we build that connection amidst busy seasons? We get it. We have had many busy seasons, and we're in the middle of one right now. And we gotta have this administration going on in our families and in our marriage to keep the relationship functioning and the family functioning. But there's that deeper longing. So how do we get that as well?
Yeah, well, typically what we see is that people employ some strategy. So if we are busy, if we're spending so much of our time kind of work talking, administrating our relationship, that oftentimes then we start to do bigger things. We put our hopes in date nights. We put our hopes in vacations and anniversaries and holidays. And that creates then a lot of expectation. I love this quote. We package our expectations of family love then into the holidays or date nights or vacations. We want the occasions to be perfect, and we want all of our dreams of connection and harmony, joy and bliss to come true. But in fact, we count on these times to compensate for the rest of the year. And I've experienced that, and I've seen that, and I've done that. I remember one time that we were going to a family camp, and it had been a super busy season for our family. And I could feel it. I could feel the disconnect. And so the closer we got to this time together as a family at this family camp, I remember my expectations were just sky high, but I wasn't even aware of that. All I knew is that I couldn't wait for all of us to finally be together and we could catch up and we could have fun.
Yeah, and they put us in this little cabin all together. And, I could tell that you were hopeful that this was just going to be that magical time for us. And, of course, Garrison, I think it was Garrison and Murphy immediately got into a disagreement. I mean, almost immediately. And we're bickering and just back and forth with each other. And we went to breakfast. And I think at some point Murphy was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm out. And she left. She just walked out. And here we are. And I could see it in your face because then you got up and,
I was
and walked out.
I was just mad that she would do this. Yeah, I mean, she literally yelled, I'm done with this family. And walked out. Here we're at family camp. Supposed to have all this togetherness.
Weren't we the speakers too?
And we were the speakers. Yeah. So that's even
somehow
more embarrassing.
These kids keep us very humble.
They do, if that's how you want to look at it, maybe. So back at the cabin, finally Murphy comes in, and man, I went off. Man, you talk about lecturing my family. I pulled them all together, sat them all down. I said, we will not fight, we will not bicker, and we will have fun. And then I walked out. I was done, dropped the mic. I was so mad at them. And I kind of wandered down by the lake, and I just remember standing there looking at this beautiful lake going, I have the worst family ever. Do you ever feel that? Oh, I was so frustrated, and then you followed me.
I followed him. I'm like, what is going on with Greg? What'd they put in your cornflakes?
I'm like, your children are horrible. That's what's wrong with Greg.
But I knew what you were hoping for. Yeah. And I knew you were so disappointed because it wasn't happening.
Yeah, and the more we talked, actually the more I began to realize that I had huge expectations for this time together. And I think that as couples, it's the same thing. We get busy, we have overflowing plates, we have so much going on that we start to feel guilty that we should be doing more, right, for our marriage. There's more that we should be doing. And yet with those overflowing plates, it just gets so frustrating. So then we do begin to hope that the date nights and the vacations and the celebrations will bring us back together. So instead of doing that, we want to give another option. One of the things that Erin and I have seen that can make such a big difference, and by the way, we would love this quote.
Yeah, this is a good one as well. One of the greatest illusions of our time is that love is self-sustaining. It is not. Love must be fed and nurtured, constantly renewed. That demands ingenuity and consideration, but first and foremost, it demands time. And so often we believe that we can just, okay, when the kids are gone out of the house, then we can, have a night out, spend the night away, or, have a consistent date night. But what we found is that just doesn't work. Because we've got to be intentional with continuing to build this. There is no cruise control. And we need to continually be intentional about feeding our marriage. Yeah. And that's what's so great, is that you guys are here tonight and tomorrow, and you're being intentional about feeding your marriage. And it works. That's what's awesome, is that we can do that and feed it and be intentional and not wait for the big family camp or the next vacation. Those are great things. But typically something's going to go on, and that isn't what maintains it. We've got to be intentional every day.
Yeah, so we want to talk about, where we want to begin tonight is something that we call attachment rituals. These things that can really connect us together.
Attachment rituals, I love the concept of this, because what they are is repeated behaviors or activities that we can do each and every day. But it's utilizing them intentionally because they symbolize connection, provide regular reminders of the attachment that we have in this relationship. and it promotes security within our marriage relationship. I love that word attachment because it's something that we can each be intentional about building with our spouse. We do that with our children so naturally, typically. It's something that, we're doing when we're giving them eye contact, when we're comforting them when they are first born and when they're toddlers and young people. And we can do that here as well. Each and every day, there are these moments that we have found, and we've been doing this probably for about 8 to 10 years. We have these moments that we've identified that we utilize to really be intentional about building the connection each and every day. And your moments might look different than our moments because we're all in different seasons, but they are there. And it's having eyes to see them and to find them. And so you recognize we're not just connecting haphazardly, we're doing it intentionally to build attachment and connection with each other.
Yeah, so we just want to hit 3 that we found that makes such a big difference. It's helped us build kind of these little connection rituals. So as we run through these, think about your marriage, think about your life. What might be some everyday moments that you could begin to take advantage of for these just small connections?
The first one that we have found is saying goodbye in the morning. There's an opportunity there because typically, like we said, Greg will leave to take Annie to school, and the morning can be a little bit crazy, and so I'll be getting everybody ready lunches, and then I'll follow on later on, either to Focus or to the counseling center. So it can be crazy. And we used to miss this opportunity because we would, typically I'd be waving goodbye, blowing a kiss across the room. But there's an opportunity, if we're intentional, that this moment comes each and every day. We're saying goodbye. How we do it can make a difference. So now we do 3 specific things. First and foremost, we offer encouragement. So just offering encouragement, just to say, hey, what do you have going on today? You're going to do awesome. Can I pray for you? Or you know what, maybe I'll call you in just a little bit and pray for you. Because when we encourage one another, we're breathing courage. And to encourage means to make courageous. So you're breathing courage into your spouse before they leave. And I like to, when we separate, I like it to be a positive separation. Only 2 times in Scripture does it say to do something on a daily basis. It says take up your cross daily, and it says to encourage one another daily. And so I'm like, yeah, that works. I can do that each and every day.
Yeah, I love that. I love when she takes the time just to say, hey, what's going on? And how can I pray for you? That makes such a big difference. So that's become a part of this morning saying goodbye ritual for us. Another opportunity is to compliment. So I might see Erin and go, whoa, I love that outfit. Is that a new jacket? I haven't seen that before. And she'll usually say, yes, and I got it on sale. So I mean, to compliment.
Yeah, but then what I like to do is go, guess how much?
Yeah.
And we play the guessing
I feel like
game.
we're on Price is Right every single morning of my life.
And he'll go, he's learned not to go too high, but not too low.
Yeah. Usually if I go like $9.99, that
it's somewhere
seems
in the
to
ballpark.
give her like, she'll go, no, not even close. I got it for $7.50. I'm like, not even close. Wait, what?
But then, guess how much it was originally?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah.
I usually go $75 probably.
Oh, no way higher.
It was 80. Awesome. You look beautiful in it, no matter how much it costs. So an opportunity to compliment is always there. I'll never forget, we were 6 months married, maybe. We were at this dinner party, and this older gentleman, he'd probably been married about 50 years. So we're just talking. I said, hey, I'm just starting off my marriage. Give me some advice. Like, what's your one tip? And I'll never forget what he said. He goes, you know what? He goes, I never let my wife leave our house without complimenting her, because I don't want the first compliment that she hears to come from another man. And I went, oh, I like that. And that's a part of this.
I like that too.
Yeah, that's a part of the ritual. That's a part of the ritual. So again, every day we're going to separate, we're going to part. She might leave first, I might leave first. Either way, there's an opportunity there. So to encourage, to compliment.
Mm-hmm. But this is my favorite part of this moment of the day, is to show a sign of affection. So simply showing a sign of affection, a kiss, a hug, actually can make a huge difference. In Germany, they actually studied this. affection because Germans are so
Yeah, because when you think of affection, you
affectionate.
think of
Yeah.
Germans, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like
For
right
sure.
off the bat.
But what they found was fascinating to me. I love research. You'll hear much about all the research that I come across over the next couple days. So they found that a husband that was kissed by his wife before they parted ways for the day, if he was kissed by her, that he missed less work, which is a good thing. It's good when you go to work. He has less car accidents on the way to work, so your insurance company will thank you. He lives 5 years longer and earns 25 to 30% more. Just because he gets kissed. I mean, how simple is that?
It's very simple.
It's very simple.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I take that very seriously, that before one of us leaves, that we connect, that we show some sign of affection. I've used this with my kids too. Murphy, when she's 22 now, but when she was like 12, 13 years old, she went through that stage where just don't get too close, don't touch me. And so I would hide out. And I would ambush hug her from behind. I would grab her and I would hug her and I'd say, Murphy, this is good for you. This is good for me. Endorphins are flowing through your body. You're going to have a better day because of this. And me too.
Oxytocin is happening.
Oxytocin is flowing. I did that for a while. She thought I was very strange, which was a little strange. But I will never forget, before she graduated high school, so 16, 17, 18, she started coming and finding me every day and saying, Mom, hey, I'm leaving. I need my hug. And I love that we made that a part of our attachment ritual, our connection ritual. So I do that with Greg. And now that Murphy's gone, I've got more affection to give you.
Wow. Nice. I feel like a German all of a sudden. So sweet. How you say goodbye in the morning, see, that's the feeling that your spouse is going to hold all day long. That's the difference that this can make. So as you think about this morning ritual, it definitely has an impact. Now, some mornings it's not going to go perfectly. And what I love is that, we'll miss this opportunity, but the good news is it happens tomorrow. So, don't feel bad. Oh, we've got to do this every morning. You just start to look for those signs. So you're going to miss, you're going to forget. You might do it wrong. There's been mornings, right, that we've been in conflict. I know it's hard to believe, but there are times where we're not fighting our way to a better marriage in that sense. I remember one time, we'd only been married a short time.
Yeah, maybe about 6 months. And we had woken up, I think it was a Saturday. I was working as a labor and delivery nurse. I had to go to work. And, I just didn't want to go. No one likes to go to work on Saturday, especially a 12-hour shift. And I think you had stuff going on, and we just woke up irritated. Do you ever do that? You just both wake up and you're annoyed. And we were bickering and I can't remember what we were bickering about. It was many years ago, but just annoyed, irritated. And so finally I got all my stuff together to go to work, and I looked at Greg and just said, you know what, no more. No more. Don't say anything, right? No more. If there's an issue that we need to work out, we'll talk about it when I get home tonight. Got all my stuff together. I got to the front door. I opened it up. I took one step out, and I popped my head back in, and I had one more really good thing to say. Does anybody else like to get the last word in? I had just one more good comment to make to you. And so I made it. I made one more smart comment, and off I went. And I was just perfectly happy, ready to go to work.
I wasn't. Because she had set this boundary, no more talking, because I had other things that I wanted to tell her as well. But she sets this boundary, no more talking. So when she got the whole last word thing in, man, it pushed a button. I don't know what happened, but that was so irritating. But she's gone. She's left. So there I am, all by myself. And I don't know about you, it's not fun to fight and argue when it's just you. I still lose, don't get me wrong. This is not as much fun, but you're gone. So I had already committed to gathering up all our laundry and taking it down to the laundry room. And we lived up on the 3rd floor, and underneath on the 1st floor was the laundry room. And so, because I don't like doing any extra work at all, I mean, I can work hard, but I like to be super efficient. To get all of our laundry down, we only had this little tiny laundry basket. I mean, it was tiny. So it would require multiple trips. I thought that was stupid. So I went out and bought this massive mesh bag. And I could get all the laundry stuffed in there. And then I'd pull this thing and set it up on the railing. And then I'd just drop it. And it'd to the ground. You know, you'd feel the seismic shift. And then I'd just walk free all the way down and pull it right in the laundry room. It was hardly any work. So I get all the laundry, and I'm fuming, and I'm thinking, I can't believe she said that to me. And so I get all the laundry up on the railing, and I'm just about to release it when all of a sudden Erin shows up on the first floor walking towards me. I'm thinking, why is she still here? But regardless, there she is. I'm still mad at her holding this massive bag of laundry. When, like out of the blue, this vision appears. And I think, how funny would it be if, as she walks by, what if I nudge that thing over and it, poof, next to her.
Yeah.
And then she would, be like looking up, and then I could, last word that, ha! I would win. And marriage is all about winning, right? So I thought this was a wonderful plan. So as she approached, I leaned in, that thing fell, and I swear to you that I was not aiming for her.
Right.
It wasn't. Mm-hmm. Either way, it hit her. Now, not like straight on top of her head to where it, broke her neck. It barely clipped her on the shoulder. But it was so big that it just barely hit her, and it just launched her. I mean, she goes flying, her purse goes, her keys goes, and she on the ground looking up as I'm looking over going, well, I tell you, instantly, I mean, I was in big trouble. She does like this ninja flip thing back, to her feet, and then she starts racing up the stairs like she's coming after me. And I'm panicking because I know if she gets to me, she will throw me over the balcony, and I'll have to pray that I land on the laundry bag. So I did what any real man would do in that situation. What do you think I did? I ran back into the apartment and locked our door. It just stood there, hoping maybe it hit her hard enough she couldn't remember where we lived. But you remembered.
I remembered.
Yes.
But thank goodness my keys were down on the ground because they had dropped with my purse. But I tried to open the door, but thank goodness I couldn't, because who knows what would have happened. So I left. I gave up. I went to work. I came back, 13 hours later and walked into the apartment, and I'll never forget it. I walked in, and Greg, to make amends apparently, had washed everything in the apartment, including the couch cushions. He unzipped the outer couch cushion, took the filling out, and washed and dried the outer couch cushion, and they shrunk. So I walked in, and there are these mounds sitting across my couch. I'm like,
who knew that
what
would
happened?
happen?
I don't know what happened here.
Is that what that little tag's for? Are you supposed to read that little tag?
Yeah, just a little instruction.
Yes.
Yeah.
I tell you, as we've told this story for 20 plus years, there's times I will have someone at the break come up to me, usually a woman, mind you, will come up and like, that's horrible. That's a terrible story. Why would you tell us that story? And yet, I love that story. And I think you love that story.
Well, I love
that.
No, I do. I don't love the beginning of the story because I remember what that felt like accidentally.
It was.
But what I love about the story is looking back, I so see what God has done. And see how far, I could just see how far God has brought us from that young bride and groom. I mean, we had so much growing up to do. And we still do. We're continuing to grow. But I love that story because it shows me how present God was, because not shortly after that, he brought a mentor couple into our lives. They could see we weren't doing well. We didn't know how to handle conflict. Had a mentor couple step in. We went to counseling. We both started just growing in our faith and working on our relationship. And here we are 28, almost 28 years later. And that's why I love that story, because it truly does show me how far we've come.
Yeah, it's a part of our journey together. As you think about how you guys say goodbye, just remember that can become a ritual. That can begin to make such a big difference. How you say goodbye, that's the feeling that you're going to hold all day long. So here's another one that we found, right, that just seems for us to make a big difference.
Yes. So after you've said goodbye and maybe you're apart for the fullness of the day, then at some point someone is going to come home. Now I know, again, we're in different seasons. So if you're, maybe retired and empty nesting and you're home together all day, I know some of you are thinking, I just wish somebody was going somewhere because we are together all the time. We're not there yet. But there's an opportunity for how we separate in the morning, but then also how do we greet each other when someone returns? Maybe it is just going to the mailbox and back, but how do you greet each other when you come back into each other's presence? We're going to show you a quick video clip of a guy who went above and beyond to greet his wife when she was coming home, apparently after a long day of work. He was really, really trying, but it's not always going to go perfectly. Watch this.
Hey, you got to get down. Come on.
Poor buddy. He was trying so hard.
I know.
Stupid cats.
Cats.
The other white meats, as we like to call them.
Speaking of cats, you think about how a cat would greet you. We used to have a cat. Our cat just disappeared like 6 weeks ago. We've been quite sad.
You always hated that cat.
Really, yeah. Our son loved the cat, so because he loved the cat, I loved the cat. But I didn't really personally love the cat. But
And then oddly enough, we got a dog. Isn't that weird how that works? Interesting.
Not quite sure. But when we would come home, Fiona was her name, she would walk by and she'd look at us like, oh, seriously, you guys again? Would you mind getting out of my territory? Versus Fiona, Olive, our puppy. Oh my word, we walk in, that little puppy is so excited to see us. She smiles. She literally is wagging, her whole body's into it, and then smiles. Just stops and has this big grin on her face and greets us. I mean, I just feel so loved when I walk in with this puppy. I'm not saying you have to become a puppy, but when your spouse walks in, how do you greet them? It used to be like, oh, Greg's home. I was in the middle of making dinner, doing homework, trying to get the kids ready to rush out the door for whatever else we had going on that night. And now it's much different. I'll set down whatever it is. Set it down. I will turn towards. I will maybe greet you with a sign of affection, holy kiss, something.
It's biblical.
Yes. Because I want him to know when he comes home, I'm happy he's home. I'm happy. I'm glad. I want to greet him. Maybe like Olive, but something like that.
Just the image of you wagging your tail. I like that. So I'm game. Get your big smile on.
Yeah, she's so funny. So there's an opportunity there. When someone returns home, how do you greet each other? Again, it's just being intentional. It's a moment, an opportunity we have to build that connection.
Yeah, and really of all these moments, this is probably the one, right, that you've really worked on. This has become a great ritual for us. I remember one time, I think you were, Erin, as a former labor and delivery nurse, as a counselor, she serves on a board. She's a board member of our local crisis pregnancy center. So I know you were going to be gone. My sister was in town. My sister loves scary movies. It's not my thing. My sister, though, loves them. And she said, hey, since Erin's going to be gone, why don't we go down into the basement? Let's watch a scary movie. I'm like, no, seriously, yeah. So some of our older teens, we all went down there. We're watching this movie. And we had this sliding glass door. So it's kind of a walkout, sliding glass door. We had to open so her dog could run in and out. So I'm seated right next to this open door. So we're into this movie. I mean, it's like at the worst, most terrifying moment. You know, the scary music is blaring. Something's going on. Well, all of a sudden, my sister screams as loud as she can, which is terrifying. I mean, it was like it zapped with something. I'm like, stop that. And she points towards the door and she goes, there's someone standing in the door. I went, what? Because in the doorway was a person dressed in all black with a ski mask pulled down over, holding a knife. And now remember, the scary music is blaring full, loud, and I mean, I can't even process. Well, who is this? I mean, instantly, my sister, our teens, they pulled their blankets up over, and I'm thinking, how's that going to help? You know, that knife will go right through the blanket, run. So, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out, what do I do? Do I charge? Do I run? I don't know, but as I'm about to spring into action, I can see the person, the sinister being, like, bouncing up and down. I'm thinking, what an odd thing to do before you murder an entire family. Until I realized the bouncing was laughter. And all of a sudden, the mask comes up, and it's her. Gosh.
Now,
why?
What's one to do when you receive a text and you're out for the evening and you come home and he texts me, hey, we're going to be in the basement watching a scary movie. So I'm standing up in the kitchen and I'm like, well, I got to do something to greet him.
Of course, because you're evil.
I can hear the music playing, so I already had all black on, and it's cold in Colorado, so I just grabbed a ski hat, and I didn't have a knife.
It looked like a knife.
No. I was too afraid to have a knife because I had to go down the back stairs knowing me I would slip and fall, and who knows, you would never find me, and I grabbed blunt toddler scissors,
looks like a knife
preschool
with the music
scissors,
and the darkness.
And so I never dreamt you would even fall for it.
Well,
I was
did.
laughing so hard, out of control, because I knew he wouldn't fall for it. I was just being goofy.
Yeah.
So toddler scissors,
Well,
key toddler scissors.
yeah, way to go. As I soiled myself there in my chair. So that was funny. Good job. Well done.
Greg likes
I did feel very
that.
greeted.
Yes. You feel loved.
I did. So that may look different for you guys. I'm just saying that's...
I would hate that.
Yes,
You love that.
it's a part of our ritual. Now, it's interesting how we greet one another. See, that sets a positive tone for the rest of our evening together. So think about that. As we take advantage of that ritual, this everyday moment, see, that actually influences the rest of our evening. I can't control our marriage. That takes both of us, but I can influence it simply by taking advantage of just greeting Erin differently. So again, we don't know what your life looks like and what moments regularly occur in your marriage, but start to think about that. Because probably my favorite is this one, and it's how we say goodnight can also make such a big difference. Now remember, we're not trying to set an unrealistic expectation. Okay, we know that there are going to be nights that you're going to be laying in bed together. Some of you may be on very different work schedules, and maybe that's not going to be your moment. But for others, as you're laying there, you're probably going to be on your cell phones, right? Or you got a kid laying right there in the middle of you, coughing away or whatever. And
Or a puppy.
You know, because we've seen the enemy of marriage, and they're little, right? There's going to be disruptions, and there's going to be choices that we make to get on cell phones and smartphones and disconnect in that way. There's going to be times where, we're in conflict, or maybe we get into a super serious discussion late at night, which is never a good thing. I remember actually the strangest conversation that we've ever had to date. So almost 28 years of marriage to date happened right as we were both laying in bed, right as we're starting to go to sleep. So it's kind of at this saying goodnight time when something happened that was different.
I didn't think
I don't know
it
how to
was
say that.
different at the time. We'd only been married for 2 weeks. So we were newly married, just home from our honeymoon. We were in our little 3rd floor apartment. Greg was in seminary, in our little bedroom and laying in bed. And 2 weeks into marriage, just home from our honeymoon, I wanted to check in with Greg to find out how I was doing as a wife. I just thought it was a good question to ask, just to see, to check in how I was doing. So I asked what I thought was a very simple, straightforward, direct question. Greg, we've been married for 2 weeks now. I just want to know, how am I doing as a wife? Simple and straightforward.
Really? Mm-hmm. Is there a guy in this room that hears that as a simple question? No. Look at, they're all beaten up thinking, don't ask me that question tonight. No. And I know the women are like, what? That's easy, right? It's simple. Yeah. What should I have said? So she asked me, how am I doing as a wife? What should I have said to her? Yeah, amazing, great, awesome. Yeah.
They all know the right words.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where were they when I needed them the most that night? Because not quite what I came up with.
No.
Actually, what I came up with, I used to think, like before we were married, I thought this was a wonderful word. It was an awesome word. Until we got married, I used it a few times, learned that women seem to hate this word, which I don't understand. So she said, how am I doing as a wife? And I said, fine. Yeah. I don't know that was such a good word. That's a wonderful word. You put that word in front of wine or dining, that's a great thing. I don't know why you don't like that.
Well, I didn't know I didn't like this word until I got married. And I can remember coming out in one of my $7.99 outfits and going, hey, do you like this outfit? And you would say, yeah, it's fine. Because what he's going to say is that if he says it with an upward tone,
and like a smile like Olive, like a big smile.
The big smile.
Yeah.
That it has a different meaning. But to me,
means a good thing.
It doesn't. When you say fine, whichever, it still means the same thing. I heard the definition to fine, and it made so much sense to me because it's exactly what I would feel when you would say this.
It's going to ruin this word for the rest of you,
I know,
I swear.
sorry. Fine. Feelings inside, not expressed. So, that night, how am I doing as a wife? Fine. I knew that there was more you wanted to say. I don't know why you didn't say it. Maybe you didn't feel safe to share. I don't know. But you said fine.
I didn't feel safe. That is true. But it's adorable when she thinks that there's more that I wanted to share. Guys, is there more? Is there more going on up there that you've just been holding back, ready to share? No. She'll see me and I'll just be sitting in a chair. Like I was on the plane today. I'm just seated in my seat, just staring straight ahead. She gets all excited, like I'm thinking about something deep or whatever. And so when she says, what are you thinking about? What did I say to her? Nothing. And I'm telling you, that drives her crazy.
It does. We'll be on a road trip, hours of just driving, and he's staring, and I'll be thinking, oh, my word, he's having some big philosophical, theological, emotional experience. I can't wait to hear about it. And I'll ask you, I'll ask him, what are you thinking about? Nothing.
Oh, we have fought about this for years. I mean, she'll do that, and I'll say nothing, and she'll go, oh. She gets all huffy. I mean, if you want to keep secrets in our marriage, then, you guys don't tell me. And I'm like, I wasn't thinking about anything. So we debated this for a long time until several years ago. Remember, Erin said that she's this big research nut, all right? So this one day, Garrison and I are in the basement, the little house of horrors there in the basement. Okay, we're just watching a football game. Loving this football game, into this football game, great game. And so all of a sudden, Erin, I don't know what she was doing upstairs, but she's coming down the stairs, comes right over, stands next to me. I'm so into the game, I don't even notice she's there. So I'm watching the game, and I hear this. And I look and I was like, hi. She didn't have a knife this time, thankfully.
Toddler scissors. stapler scissors.
And so she has papers, though. And she, like, waves the papers at me and goes, oh, I'm not even going to tell you what I'm holding in my hand. I thought, okay, that's a win-win, actually. I'm thinking, why would you come all the way down to tell me you're not going to tell me something? Could have stayed upstairs, same net effect. Anyway, you told me, share what you found.
Well,
Because this is going to change your marriage right here.
I was upstairs, they were down watching a football game, so I was just bored and just kind of scrolling through social media or something or other, and I come across this thing that says UCLA studies the difference between men and women's brains. And I was like, oh, that's fascinating. So I click on it and I start reading, and I'm not kidding. It changed my life. They hooked up these brain monitors onto both men and women. And then they had a printout of the activity that was going on. With the men, they found that it would be printing going along, and then it would just stop. Nothing.
We tried to tell them it was registering no brain activity whatsoever.
I was so relieved. So relieved.
We tried.
Versus for women, there was always something going on, right? I mean, we all know we're always thinking about something. I mean, I know Christmas is really coming soon now. I mean, we have so much to do. We've, it's got to be like I bet it's under about, is it 9 weeks?
I don't know.
8, is it 8?
Oh,
See?
thank you.
Yes.
Whoever shouted that out.
We have so much to do. We've got to think about gifts and what are we going to eat? What are we going to wear?
This is what goes on up there the whole time? Wow.
Constantly. I woke up this morning. I'd been up thinking about a whole lot. And he's like, really? How do you get out of bed and you are down here at these deep thoughts and feelings and these emotional experiences?
You don't ask me, so I don't know. But I'm telling you, that changed our marriage. But it didn't work that night as we were laying in bed early on in our marriage because the whole fine thing, right? That didn't work for you.
No.
So you pressed in
I
a little
did.
harder.
I wanted feedback. I wanted a real answer.
Yeah.
So, fine didn't cut it. So I was working as a labor nurse, and so when women would come into the hospital in labor, I would ask them the same question every single time. 0 to 10, how bad is your pain? 0, no pain. 10, the greatest pain you've ever experienced. I thought, hey, that could work for this. 0, I'm the worst wife. 10, I'm the greatest wife. Where do I fall?
Yeah. What could possibly go wrong there? Oh, my, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh.
See, even he knows.
Hey, we're
Usually
on the same team here. What are you doing?
Usually it's my tribe
I
that's
know,
yelling
exactly.
out.
Yeah. So when she asked me that, of course, the moment she says that, I'm like, I don't want to play this game anymore. I'm like, let's turn the lights off. Let me show you what a great job you're doing. She's like, you're not touching me until you answer my question. Fine. So let me ask, what should I have said? Yeah,
Yes.
11, 10. I know, those are all great answers. It's just not this hard, is it? And I make it very difficult on myself and her because it's not what I came up with. What I did come up with, though, I thought was a great answer. So I told her, I said, honey, I'm proud to tell you that you are a 9.3. Oh, yeah. Which I thought was a really good answer because a 9.3 is a 93%, which is a what? An A+. Did you just hear that? You just switched teams. Thank you.
It's an A-.
Oh, it's an A either way.
A-.
Yeah, because see, why that was such a big deal, see, in school, in high school, I was not exactly an A student. I was a solid C student. Any other solid C students? All right, see, we got a few. Yeah. So had I ever brought home a 93% in anything, my parents would have slaughtered the fatted calf, okay? we would have partied for a week had I done that. Not quite the same for you.
No, I was one of those high-achieving, super academic, driven students. So 98% and above was like passing for me. Anything below that was failing. So a 93% was essentially failing.
Yeah, and when she says that she was a high academic achiever, she graduated high school with a 4.3 GPA. Now, again, I don't know what it looks like. Is that about the same for you guys? Like for us, I thought the highest was a 4.0. Is that the same for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, a little bit. So when she's telling me at 4.3, I'm thinking she's lying. I'm like, honey, it's me. I unconditionally love you. You don't have to make up stuff. She's like, oh, no. You can take honors classes, get an even higher GPA. I was like, what kind of classes? No one ever invited me to an honors class. Guy, well, we argued about this for a while until she got so mad at me, so frustrated. She goes, fine. She goes, I may be a 9.3, but at least I'm not a 5 like you are. But then I thought about it, and as a C student, I thought, yeah, that's about right. I can live with that one. Thank you very much. Man. Needless to say, that whole how we say goodnight, we blew that one that night, which is the point. You're going to mess it up. You're going to forget. And that's okay because you always have tomorrow night. As we think about this opportunity, how we say goodnight, one of the most powerful things that we can do is to pray together. I know as I say that, I can see the faces of a lot of the guys go, you get the eye roll. Oh, you're just saying that. That's what we're supposed to say in a church. Because I know that can be hard. It can be intimidating. There's been seasons where we didn't do that. There's been times we've done that very well. But regardless, that's the opportunity. What would our marriage look like? What would it be like? Is it the last thing that we said to each other was holding hands and just praying to God? And that can make such a big difference. You know, one of the ways that we do this now, just to make it really simple, because for some of you, you're like, I don't know what that would look like. That feels weird and awkward. You know, the best way I've learned to do this is just simply to ask her, hey, what's one thing that's going on tomorrow that I can pray for you about? And I tell you what's so cool is Erin will say things, and in my mind I'm thinking, I didn't even know that was going on. Wow. I mean, I learned things about her. It's an amazing way to stay current and stay updated in her life. She'll ask me the same thing. And we just quickly, just real fast, just pray for that. So that's how we do that. And that has made such a big difference. How we say goodnight. See, that's the feeling your spouse will hold all night long. And unlike the bad breath and the dirty socks, I like it when she wakes up happy that I'm alive and still there. And I can influence that by simply taking advantage of that moment. Again, these attachment rituals, there's a lot of them. I mean, it could be eating dinner together as a family. That can be a ritual. You know, it can be we grocery shop. Both of us hate grocery shopping alone, so we do that together now. And that's become a ritual for us.
Yeah, maybe it's going for a walk in the morning, or maybe it's going for a walk at night, exercising together, checking in at mealtime. You know, whatever it is, leaving each other notes if you're passing at different times. It's just being intentional about those moments that you have each and every day that you can utilize to connect. Because we're like you, we're busy, overflowing plates, got to administrate. But how can we be intentional about taking advantage of the moments that are already there, just to utilize those, repurpose them to strengthen this relationship?
Yeah, I would love this quote. There's beauty and adventure in the commonplace for those with eyes to see beyond. So just recognizing that these everyday moments, these simple things that are going to happen again and again and again, they can make such a big difference as they become a ritual that signifies our connection, our bond, our attachment. That's what we've noticed, and that's why this is something really simple that we've learned to do that has made such a big difference. So Tim, as you come on up, here's your assignments, okay? So you're going to get a break time here. So as you go do your bio stuff and get some coffee and whatever, as you come back, once you sit, once you turn to your spouse, okay? I know this is weird, like at a marriage seminar, you're going to make us look at each other. Weird.
Then do we have to talk?
Maybe a little bit for like 2 minutes. Okay, talk. But here's what you're going to do. You're going to come up with what is one of those everyday moments that happens on a regular basis in our marriage that we're going to take advantage of. So here over the next 2 weeks, we're going to really focus on this one. So come up with what is going to be your one everyday moment that can become, right, a ritual over time.